Pope Francis apologized to Indigenous peoples in Canada on behalf of the Catholic Church for the church's running of residential schools in the country. On a visit to the former Ermine-Skin Indian residential school on the lands of the Cree Nation, the Pope said, "I humbly beg forgiveness for the evil committed by so many Christians against the Indigenous peoples." Over 150,000 Indigenous children were forced to attend such schools from the 19th century to the 1970s, funded by the Canadian government in an attempt to forcibly assimilate Indigenous children to Western Christian culture. As part of the assimilation process, Native children were cut off from their languages and culture. Most students were held inside the school against their and their families' wishes. Attendance was made compulsory and limitations were placed on family visits. Over 130 such schools were set up across Canada. These schools were funded by the federal government and over 2/3 were administered directly by the church. Many children in these schools died due to neglect, disease, and overcrowding. Authority figures at residential schools inflicted both physical and sexual abuse against the children. In June last year, over 800 unmarked graves were discovered at the grounds of 2 such former schools. As per official records, 3,201 children died in these schools. Independent studies have found the number to be at least twice as high. In 2015, Canada's Truth and Reconciliation Commission described the residential school system as nothing short of cultural genocide, concluding that many children died of malnourishment, disease, or suicide. The longer-lasting effects of forced assimilation are the extinction of several native languages along with long-term mental health problems for the Indigenous people who did survive the residential schools. The discovery of mass graves of Indigenous children last year renewed outrage across Canada towards the system of forced assimilation. Indigenous groups called for the cancellation of the Patriotic Canada Day in 2021, a day after 182 graves were found near a residential school in British Columbia. In August of 2021, protesters toppled a statue of John Macdonald, the first Prime Minister of Canada and the architect of residential schools. Pope Francis has said that he will take concrete action to rectify the Church's crimes against Indigenous peoples. The Pope said, "Sorry for the ways in which, regrettably, many Christians supported the colonizing mentality of the powers that oppressed the Indigenous peoples."